Well, I'm back to playing Rain World mods. This isn't a live recording, but instead is going to be post-commentary on my experience with the mod. I'm not sure if I'll stick with this format, but I at least wanted to try it out. In the video, I hope to cover the same things I did previously, like my journey through the different regions, any strange or funny things that happened, and my final thoughts at the end. So with that out of the way, let's get started on the Mast. Now, one of the first things that really stands out about the Mast is the fact that it requires another region mod to be installed to work properly, the Badlands. This is because one of the entrances to the Mast is in the Badlands, and so once I had everything installed, I figured that would be the best entrance to go for. So after starting up the game and reminding myself of how Slugcat works, I made my way straight for drainage system. I was, let's say, a bit rusty along the way. I forgot that this was a pole mimic and almost got grabbed. Then completely missed a monster kelp and did get grabbed. But one more try, and we made it to the entrance of garbage wastes. When I entered this room, something suddenly hit me. I had absolutely no idea where the gate to Badlands was, so with my memory pretty useless in this situation, I decided to go for the Rain World classic. Wander around until you find the right way to go. On the way, I ran into a few incidents, like getting 4 vultures in the same room, and trying my best not to anger the scavs, but eventually I found something that looked out of place. And sure enough, it was the entrance to the Badlands. Going through this region again, I was reminded of how nice the orange and yellow sunlight was, and it really gives you a good idea of how hot and dry the area is. Not somewhere I would want to live, but it sure makes for a nice environment. I'm sure the shade is a nice relief after being out under the sun, so next I headed for the darkest place in the whole region, the caves. The pillars hanging down from these caves made me wonder, did they have temples here at one point? Maybe they connected all the way down to the depths. Or maybe they just really liked corn on the cob. In any case, once this friendly spider passed by, I noticed it had been guarding a sandbox item. I picked it up and it's a spider. Convenient. A little later in the cave, and I noticed that the screen scrolled down, and another sandbox item was waiting there. This time in a more dangerous location. It's the region's arenas. Scary jump, but I think it's worth it to pick those up. Eventually the cave started curving up toward the surface, and I realized that the entrance to the Mast was probably somewhere up there too. I kept heading left, until I came across this room, which didn't look familiar to me at all, and sure enough, a few rooms later, was the first gate into the Mast. Right off the bat, the creator put a save point right near the entrance, which was really nice of him. It's the worst when you don't have enough karma, and have to farm to get back into a region. Through the next room, and I got the first look into this new mod. The name Marsh Flats kinda speaks for itself, but immediately you can see the ruins of broken down trains and pipes. It seems like a group of scavengers have taken advantage of this wreckage, setting up a toll to charge travelers that come by. I didn't feel like paying this toll, so I borrowed a spear from a nearby scav to get into this entrance. And down here, unsurprisingly, was a nice big scavenger den. I was surprised to find that the pearls hanging from the ceiling could actually be picked off like fruits. This is something you don't even see in the base game, and I'm always impressed to see mod creators adding entirely new mechanics and stuff to a region. After wandering around this den a bit more, and gifting a scavenger a pearl that I just stole from his own hideout, I headed toward the surface. I came out on the other side of the toll, and for whatever reason, the scavs were cool with that. I guess because I didn't pass directly through the toll and instead snuck around it. That really shouldn't count, but I can't complain. Continuing through the Marsh Flats, the little pools of water, Sky Island trees, and bugs flying around really gave the region a more humid, tropical vibe when compared to the Badlands. The worm grass growing in the water looked particularly dangerous, and I imagine if you got dragged in, it might be pretty hard to get out. Speaking of dangerous, I had spent too much time freely exploring, and the rain was on its way. I hadn't discovered another shelter yet, so I did what any slugcat would do, and started panic searching. Surprisingly, I actually found one, but it was too late by that point. I drowned inches away from the shelter's entrance. Thanks to this new info though, I was able to make it back quickly next cycle and save my progress. This dark room is sort of like a central hub for the region, and with a bunch of different options, I decided to try going up first. It would have been hard to tell from the video alone, but that scared the absolute shit out of me. When I headed left from a side passage, I discovered that there was actually a reindeer here. You don't see reindeer very much in region mods, maybe because they're so janky and inconsistent, but I always find reindeer fascinating to watch, even when their AI is breaking right in front of your eyes. This particular reindeer was low enough to the ground that you can get a free ride without even feeding it a spore puff, which is pretty nice. Further into the Marsh Flats, I found this little train car. It's a good place to take a break, and there's even some food here. Except for some reason, these bubble fruits just wouldn't pop for me no matter what. I don't know what was going on here or what I was doing wrong, but for this cycle I guess Slugcat is gonna have to starve. The room started getting darker as I headed down. And to my surprise, at the end of this tunnel was another gate already. I wasn't ready to leave the mast so early, but I did want to see where this gate led to, so I opened it. Subterranean. This could be a good path if you wanted to head toward the Void Sea, but like I said before, there's a lot left in the mast to discover, so I did a pro speedrun strat and died to get back faster. Back in the central hub, my best bet was to continue heading up from where I had taken a detour previously, keeping an eye out for any orange lizards that might fall from the sky again, like any meteorologist would do. At the top of this column was the entrance to the main part of the region. I love it when a region has different routes you can take, and as I would come to learn soon, the Mast has plenty of them. You can head up the center of the column, or like I did here, take a left or right and begin to climb the building from the outside. Wide open sky, of course, means there's gonna be vultures. For this one I paused to appreciate the custom threat music. As I continued up the left side, I ran into a bit of a problem. This vulture decided to plop its ass down in the corner and was not going to be moving anytime soon. I waited around for a while, but eventually I decided I would just have to find a different path. Further to the left was another graveyard of trains. This part reminds me a lot of the Coastal Railway from the Route mod, and I could even hear the coast theme in my head as I was going by. Progress was blocked though by a pack of orange lizards, and I put myself in a pretty bad situation and got caught. Back to the beginning of the mast, this time I tried climbing up the right side. I must have been lucky because there were very few creatures around, aside from this dropwig who wasn't very good at his job. And this blue lizard who wasn't very good at his job either. On the way though, I got to appreciate the architecture and all the detail that was put into this region. Like most places in Rain World, this building had long since broken down and been abandoned. And there's some nice touches inside, like the plant life, slowly but surely taking over. Eventually the rain was coming, and again I had trouble finding another shelter. A blue lizard finished me off first though, maybe that same one that had been spinning around earlier. On the next cycle though, I found a safe point on the right side, among the trains. The blue fruit here is a bit dangerous to grab, kinda like the blue fruit that you find in Sky Islands. But that makes it all the more worth it when you make it into the luxury train shelter. Hard stone can't be very comfortable to sleep on, but I don't think Slugcat really cares. As I got out of the train car, I discovered that there was a ledge over to the right, far out of reach. I thought, maybe a leap and double throw boost could get me over there. No, not even close. I'm guessing that a squid Kata is the kind of jumping boost that you need, but what I really wanted to do was to get back to climbing the mast. I had already gotten pretty high up on one of the previous cycles, and that left me curious about just how tall could this thing be, and more importantly, what was waiting all the way at the top. Even higher up, the wind was blowing pretty strong, and I could watch the dark clouds rolling by. It reminded me a lot of the wall, although at this point, I figured we'd probably be climbing a lot higher than just Pebbles can. As my time ran out and the rain was coming again, I realized, oh hey, I'm probably a lot higher than Pebbles can. And sure enough, while the screen started to shake, up here we were safe from the rain. Don't try this in real life, please. As I continued my way through the San Francisco earthquake of 1906, eventually I found what I was looking for. Finally, another shelter. By this point we were so high up that you could see the other iterators and communication towers clearly in the background. Small white puffs started to blow in from below, making me wonder if we were all the way above Sky Islands at this point. More importantly, this is when the wind started to kick in, not just as a sound effect, but as a mechanic. These jumps can be a whole lot scarier when the wind is trying to blow you away, and it's made worse when a vulture decides to rear its ugly head. But still, even after surviving this encounter, the tower just kept going higher. The jumps here can be particularly annoying, thanks to the wind, but eventually, I reached a room that looked like something new. Primary transmission node. Well, this place sounded cool. I immediately fell to my death before I could explore it. When I made it back next cycle, I discovered that there was a save point right above where I had died. of course. The blue fruit here is even more dangerous to grab, with the wind blowing you around, and there don't seem to be many creatures for Hunter to feast on. All I saw in my time there was a single centowing and a single noodlefly. But thankfully, I was able to get enough food to hibernate. When I got a better look at this sub-region, I realized that it must be some sort of communications tower, although bigger than the usual kind. There's lots of satellite dishes, and you can hear the clicking of working machinery. Climbing up these poles, some of the jumps require you to use momentum from the wind in a way that reminds me of Aether Ridge, and you can see Slugcat almost being blown away, hanging onto the poles as tight as he can. I don't know about you, but personally I would be absolutely terrified by a height like this. Maybe some thrill seekers out there would appreciate it, and Slugcat probably doesn't care, because he knows when he dies, he'll just come right back. And this is the very top of the mast. I don't think there are any other creatures that will come up here. Even vultures know it's too dangerous to risk being a hunting ground, or maybe I just got lucky and didn't find any. In any case, the reward waiting was this dark purple lore pearl. After grabbing the pearl, I decided to check the map and see just how high we had gone. Very, very high. With pearl in hand, I started to head back down, but I wasn't careful enough, and this happened. Second try's the charm, and this time I swallowed the pearl so it wouldn't get lost. On the way down, I grabbed the arena unlocks and saved the game again. My goal now was obvious: take the pearl to Moon and see what it has to say. Because I had gone up the left side on my way to the top of the tower, this time I decided that on the way down I should try the right. Eventually, I came across a save point that I had missed. I figured there had to be at least one other one between the bottom of the tower and the top. I just did a really bad job at finding them. At several places in the mast, there are points where you can switch between the left and right sides and the inside of the tower. On the left side, I came across one of these big circular things that you would normally find in the underhang and the wall. Like the wall, this one also had a pack of orange lizards hanging out around it. I guess it's a good place for them to set up their dens, and I like the consistency of this with the base game. And another save point that I somehow missed on the way up. Of course. The inside of the tower is mostly taken over by centipedes. The small ones make for a nice food source, but I imagine that on Hunter there's probably at least one red centipede waiting in here. And if you know my history with red centipedes, you could guess how that battle would turn out. I really like the lighting in some of these internal sections. Mostly dark, but with some standout red and orange patches where the sunlight is getting through or the machinery is still working. The dropwigs in this region just can't make up their minds. Also, I don't even want to know what the hell was going on here. Several deaths later, and I had made my way back to the Marsh Flats. My plan was to take the subterranean exit, and then from there to shoreline. But first I noticed this little detour, which is just barely reachable with a throw boost. At the top is some more food, and an unlock for the center wing. Pretty cool. My journey from subterranean to moon was pretty uneventful. It was only when I reached this point that something hit me. I'm playing Survivor, and I completely forgot about the mark of communication. So, detour time again. After storing away the purple pearl safely in a shelter, I used my only passage to go back to outskirts. There I spent 5 cycles eating bat flies so I could get the hunter passage. That'll be useful later when I want to get back to moon. And then the journey to Pebbles began. This journey was pretty uneventful also, so I'll skip over most of it. Things hit a bit of a snag though when I reached the wall. I kept stubbornly trying to get past these white lizards without any spears. I was frustrated, but for some reason I just kept trying over and over again. Eventually a miracle happened, and I got set free after one of them grabbed me. Finally, I was in the clear. And then I forgot that this was a pole mimic. I threw my spear, missed at point-blank range, and hit the other pole mimic, which I did remember was there. Fantastic. Eventually, though, I made it up to Pebbles. After eating my fill of neurons, I figured, hey, might as well put one of these in my stomach and bring it to Moon as a final gift. And now I'll leave you with the reading of the Mast's Purple Pearl. Overall, I think the Mast is a great region mod to explore for yourself. I think you could split it into two distinct challenges. The horizontal Marsh Flats, with its packs of scavs, dangerous watery pits of wormgrass, and lizards and centowings crawling around the pipes and train cars. And the much more vertically inclined Mast itself, which feels like quite a journey to travel all the way to the top. It's interesting to learn from the Purple Pearl that it is in fact a communications array, and that the Pearl was sent as a high priority message to try and save Moon when Pebbles was taking all of her water. The fact that she mentions it was forcefully rerouted makes me wonder if someone tried to sabotage that information. It did reach her in the end, but like Moon said, it's already too late. In any case, the Mast itself did a great job giving you multiple paths to take. If you're struggling with one way, why not just choose another? And if you're replaying the mod, you could try out an entirely different route. The visual details of the environments were great, and the platforming could be a bit scary, especially when the wind was blowing you around, but I felt like it was fair. More than any other mod, I think this one really nailed a sense of ascension. Not the karmic voidsea kind, the literal kind. I think you could reliably split the Mast into different floors, and from floor to floor it introduces some new things, like different creatures, harder platforming, and stronger wind. Overall, if you liked the exterior, and especially the wall, I think you might love this region mod. It's obvious that it had a ton of work put into it, with so many different paths, rooms, and visual details. So give this mod a try, if you're interested. And to all the slug cats out there, thanks for following to the end.